In this episode, we get into some wild spots, including this $1,240 pot pre-flop at a 1-3 game. Stick around to the end because it's a great episode. What is up, YouTube? Kato here, and today we're playing some cards. I am back at Hamul Casino. I'm about to hit the felt, but I'm liking this topic of the day. Today's topic is bankroll management. I hope you guys consider this while I play today, because I got my one bullet, and I'm going to try to send it. Welcome back, Beast fam, and thank you so much for your support. We're going to get right into it today with a $200 buy-in. I brought a single bullet, and we're going to try to run it up. The first hand that I looked down at that's of note is ace of spades, 8 of spades in the low jack, and we have one limper under the gun, and the middle position player bets to $13. I'm going to go ahead and make the call, although my stack might not be deep enough for this to be a profitable call. I recall from my studies, you need something like 30 to 1 behind in order to make a call like this to be profitable, but with 3 callers behind me, I'm going to the flop 5 ways with $78 already in the pot. We're hoping to hit some spades on the flop and have some playability with this hand, be able to continue with it, but no. Instead, we hit a different type of monster. King of clubs, ace of hearts, ace of clubs on the board. This is a fantastic flop for us, but with 5 players in the pot, there could definitely be another ace out there, and my kicker's not so hot. I'm definitely not a fan of checking this hand. There are flush and straight draws on the board, and there's already $78 in the pot. When the original bettor checks to me, I bet $30, and I get a call in the small blind, and the original bettor also make the call. So we're going to a turn with $168 in the pot, and the turn is the 10 of spades, which nullifies my kicker and brings in the straight draw. The 2 check callers on the flop check back to me on the turn, leaving me with the option of either opening the action or seeing a free card, with the potential that I could be beat here with a better ace, and I'm starting to smell that there are snakes in the grass. I like to check, and we go to a river, which is the king of hearts, the perfect card to see. I now have a full house, aces full of kings, and the original bettor, who hasn't taken the initiative at all since pre-flop, bets out for $45, bringing the pot to $203. It could be a chop pot, but I'm targeting a king that put in a value bet, and so I do the min raise, and he elects to make the call, and he flips over ace queen. So we got very lucky with that river. We did make the correct play by checking the turn, and if I was him, I definitely would have tried to put a little more chips in the pot before the river. The next hand that we get is ace of spades, 2 of spades in the big blind, and it folds around to the hijack, who opens it up for $15. The cutoff calls and the button calls, and this is with $49 in the pot, a great opportunity to do a little squeeze play, try to get heads up action, maybe even steal the pot right now. So I raise it to $65, $50 on top, bringing the pot to $114. The original bettor thinks about it for a little while and kind of grumpily smacks his chips down, thinking that he kind of wants to call, but it's just not good enough, so he folds away. That was the plan. The button folds out of turn, leaving the cutoff with the option to call and face me heads up with position, and in fact he does make the call. We now have $164 already in the pot, and we're going to a flop heads up. The dealer burns and turns 7 of clubs, 6 of hearts, 3 of spades on the board. This is not a good flop for us, although we do have backdoor spade options, but you can't count on those. I want to continue to take the initiative. I want to continue over-representing my hand as maybe a high pocket pair, and I don't think this board connects very well at all with the villain who's willing to call $65. I bet out, and he immediately folds away. We scoop another pot, and thank goodness, because we were getting a little rowdy with that one. We're sitting with about $330 in front of us, and the trend continues when the dealer throws me the cards, and I look down at ace of hearts, 8 of hearts in the small blind. The under the gun player folds, and we have one limper, and then the player that raised at $15 earlier when I 3-bet bets out to $15 again. It folds around to me, and although I have absolutely terrible position, this is a suited ace, and my stack is getting deeper, so I elect to just make the call. I don't want to open the betting back up, and I just got away with a 3-bet earlier. I can't be doing it too frequently, and with no straight possibilities, this is just a call. The original limper makes the call, so we're going 4 ways to the flop, $63 in the pot, and the flop comes out queen of clubs, 6 of diamonds, ace of spades. The limp caller pre-flop bets $15, and the original raiser calls, the player to his left calls, and with top pair on this board, I'm definitely going to make the call as well. 4 players to the turn, $123 in the pot, and I spike an ace of diamonds. This is the basically exact same situation as the previous hand, and the initiative taker on the flop takes it again by betting $15, which is a very, very small size bet. The other 2 players fold away, and I just elect to make the call. I'm not sure why I made the call. Maybe it's because I was burned a little bit by that last hand and kind of nervous that I was going to run into that same situation and not get so lucky this time. The river comes the 3 of diamonds, bringing in the backdoor diamonds, and we have $153 in the pot heads up. I check to my opponent, maybe hoping to induce a bluff. Maybe I'm nervous that my hand is not that great because of what just happened the previous hand. Diamonds did come through, and my opponent decides to bet up this time to $55, bringing the pot to 208. This is going to be an easy call for me. I don't want to raise because I don't think anyone with a lesser hand will be making the call. So I like to call. The opponent flips over Jack of spades, King of spades. He has absolutely nothing. He was going for a one-liner to the straight, and I scoop another nice pot, adding about $130 to my stack, bringing it up to a beautiful $470. Lady Luck continues to bless me when I look down at Pocket Kings shortly later in the low jack. It is a straddle under the gun, and this is exactly the type of position you want to be in. When it folds around to me, I'm going to raise it up. The question is how much with the straddle on, and I elect to do a $20 bet. The ST symbol by the pot indicates that there is a straddle on, and the LJ indicates low jack, and the yellow indicates this is a medium position, moderate position, not the best, not the worst. And the player to my left decides to make the call for $20. The big blind also decides to make the call, and the straddle makes the call as well. We're heading to the flop 4 ways with $81 already in this pot, and I have Pocket Kings. I would have preferred to thin the field a little bit when the flop comes out 2 of hearts, 6 of spades, queen of diamonds. This is a beautiful flop for us. Only gut shot straight draws exist, no front door flush draws, and very low connectivity. There's $81 in the pot, and when it checks to me, I'm going to bet about half pot, $45, bringing the pot to $126. I'm targeting any queen or pocket pairs under queens. It doesn't matter though, because all the players decide to fold. Let's have a discussion about whether maybe I should have checked the flop. I don't think I should ever be checking this flop with 4 players in the pot. There's a lot of room for any of them to improve or to pick up some sort of draw that will get there by the river. I'd much rather just bet and take it down like this. The next hand of note that we're dealt is King of Hearts, 3 of Hearts in the big blind. Now this is not a hand that I would typically play, seeing as I'm essentially just trying to play for a flush, and it's not even the nut flush. But I seem to get priced in here. I'm not sure if I actually do because I'm not that great at my blind play yet. But we have 1 caller, 2 callers, 3 callers, and then I close the action for $15 into a $60 pot. So we're going to the flop 4 ways with $60 in the pot, and the dealer puts out something very nice. The 10 of hearts, 6 of hearts, and 4 of hearts, giving us a second nut flush. It checks to me, and I find these suited boards the hardest for me to play. This one should be a little easier, seeing as my hand is extremely strong, but I'm not going to let this check around, which it often does. I bet out $40, about 2/3 pot, bringing the pot to $100. My opponent goes all in for $85. Remember, he originally raised pre-flop. This is an easy call. I make the call. I show him the goods. And when the turn comes out, he tells me he's drawing dead. This is fantastic because I was concerned that he may have had the ace of hearts. No need to sweat anymore. The river comes out the 7 of hearts, and he shows me the queen of hearts, queen of clubs. So a great flop for him as well. Unfortunately, it was just in a position where I was priced in, I think, pre-flop, and so I made the call. Alright, taking a quick break from the table. We are running hot. We got about $600 in chips. The cards keep falling in our direction, which we can't complain about. If you're enjoying this content, please do me a favor and drop a subscription. I'm trying to grow this channel. I'm trying to grow it big, and I can only do that with your help. So if you would take a moment and reward my hard work with a subscription, I'd really appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get back to the felt. This next hand's pretty interesting. I'm curious to hear what you think about it. It's a king of spades, jack of clubs in the cutoff for me, and there's 4 limpers, and the player to my right makes it $15. I call the $15, and the small blind calls, the under the gun calls, and the middle position calls. We're going 5 ways to a flop, $78 already in the pot. I have the position on the rest of the table, and my holding is not that strong, but I'm definitely being priced in right now. As long as I hit the flop, this could be a good one. The flop comes out 2 of clubs, king of clubs, 4 of spades. I hit my top pair, and it's a pretty dry board. There is a flush draw out there, but not a lot of straight draws possible. It checks around to the original pre-flop better, and she sizes up and bets $35, a half pot size bet, bringing the pot to $113. I'm definitely going to make the call here, see what develops, and I'm a little concerned about the players behind, but they all decide to fold away. Now, the player to my right, I've never played against her before. She's definitely an aggressive and up-and-coming player. She's very good from what I've seen. The turn comes a queen of spades. This does not, I think, change many hands. If she had the king-queen, I was already beat. She leads out for $50, bringing the pot to $198, and here I'm faced with an interesting decision. I think that she may continue to bet on the river, and I we both have about $600 behind. I don't want to get that involved in the pot if she makes a big bet. I don't want to be placed in a difficult situation. So I'm thinking about putting out a blocking bet, a raise to retake the initiative. I have a strong hand. I'm only really worried about ace, king, king, queen, maybe pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens. But other than that, I have the win pretty much locked up here. And so I'm going to go ahead and protect myself on the river. I have position. I think that if I bet, I could increase my fold equity. She might just toss it away if she's been bluffing, but more so, I really want some valuable information. If she re-raises me, I can get away from this hand. So I do bump it up to $150, putting the pressure back on her. I also consider that she could have a flush draw, and my $100 raise could help block her realizing her equity by seeing a free card. And she decides to make the call. We're going to the river, which is the 10 of diamonds. And she checks immediately. My blocking bet works. Now, the fact that she checked immediately made me reconsider my plan, which was going to just be to check behind and see a showdown. But I'm thinking maybe I can bet thin for value here. I consider the options, and if she has a missed flush draw, she could have a queen or a 10 in her hand that she would call. I might also not be good, and there are potential that I could push her off of maybe like an ace-king. But the more I think about it, the more I think I'm digging myself into a hole that I don't want to go down. I don't think she's folding away ace-king unless it's a very substantial bet. And since I'm a little confused about the hand and I can't really find a solid justification for putting more money in the pot, I decided it's best to just go to showdown. I show my king jack and she laughs and flips over king jack of diamonds. That was a lot of stress for a chop pot. I definitely had her on her heels though, and let's do something we haven't done before. Let's listen in to our table conversation after the hand.
Yeah, king queen.
I really wanted to fire another 150 on the river.
Yeah.
But I thought.
But I just lose one hand, like
Yeah.
king queen.
Yeah. I really wanted to fire again, but I thought. I kind of thought you had the same hand, so. That or ace king.
This next hand, I get myself into a lot of trouble. I look down at king, queen of spades in the big blind. I am running hot. I'm feeling good. I just chopped that pot, which was a little stressful, and I'm still getting dealt good hands. We have a brand new player in seat 5. This is his first hand, and he limps in. The player in seat 8 limps in, and I'm going to go ahead and bet $23, and the player who limped in immediately re-raises me to $50. This should definitely be a red flag looking back on it. A min raise that took no time or effort to think about. It seems like he already had this planned out. The player in seat 8 makes the call, and for some reason I decide I'm going to 3-bet up the wazoo, put pressure on these players, and I bake it $200 on the top. The player in seat 5 immediately goes all in, and the player in seat 8 thinks about it and ships it as well. I'm now thinking to myself, wow, what have I just done? There's no way I can call with king of spades, queen of spades. The fold is imminent, and I make the fold. They end up showing their hands at the end of the showdown. One has pocket queens, the other has pocket aces. Goodbye, $200. The next hand we play is jack of spades, 9 of spades from middle position. We limp in, and the button also limps in. The big blind, who's a tight, aggressive player, very competent, plays probably more than 99% of the players in the room, decides to bet to $27, and I make the call. The button also elects to make the call, and we have $85 in the pot going to the flop. The size of the bet that the big blind put in indicates that he has a pretty strong holding. I don't see him making big bets like this that often. The flop comes out 4 of spades, jack of diamonds, 4 of hearts. The original raiser decides to bet out for $65, bringing the pot to $150. Now, this board is obviously good for me because I hit my jack, but I could easily be dominated by aces, kings, queens. He could also have ace-king, which of course missed here, but I called the pre-flop bet with the intention of playing this hand, and this is one of the best flops for my hand. I have a backdoor spade possibility, and I know that I might be getting myself into trouble. This is towards the end of my session, and I'm calling off $65. This could get me into a lot of trouble. I do have the villain covered. He's got about $300 total behind, and so I think about it for a bit. I think about laying it down. I think about just calling it a day and booking the win, not risking any more chips. But no, I decided to make the call, and the button folds away. There's $290 in the pot. It's inflating quite rapidly, and although I do have top pair, it is a marginal hand that I still think I might not be best. The turn is the queen of diamonds, and to my relief, the original bettor checks. Taking a moment to evaluate the hand, I think about betting here because I now all of a sudden think that ace-king is more likely than aces or kings, but he could also easily have king jack, ace jack, and just slowing down because of the queen on the turn. The jack of clubs comes on the river, a fantastic card, and the villain bets into me for $75. I have the second nuts, and so I decide to go all in, pressuring him to put his last 170 in, but he folds away, and I scoop a really nice pot. I scoop a few more decent-sized pots, and then I look at my chip stack, which is basically turned into a skyscraper. I'm at the most chips I've had all night, and I decide it's time to rack up, take the win, and go home. That's exactly what I do. Thanks for watching. Till next time.